Hey everyone, in this episode, we did not get the creator of the comic's name right, so we wanted to set the record straight before we start with a note that we're saying it all kinds of ways in the episode. The correct pronunciation, as far as we can understand from Twitter, is
Stjepan Sejic, I
Stjepan
believe.
Sejic.
I believe.
That's what we believe it is. We listened to interviews with him and he frequently does not tell people how to say his name correctly.
He finds it funny.
He finds it funny. So we're just trying our best based on what tweets have said about how to say it. But as you'll go forward, we kind of alternate between Stjepan and Stefan, and we're all over the place with the last names. So,
but we felt bad because names are important.
And we wanted to clarify it going in. So, mark that going forward that we will repeatedly say it wrong. Hello, and welcome to the Gotham Outsiders, our Batman book club. I am your host, Bat Obsessive Chris, and with me, the newly minted Talon, TJ.
I'm glad you said that because I almost forgot. I am TJ, your Chris proclaimed Batman Talon.
Yes, he's upgraded from Acolyte, everyone.
Woo, 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 woo. Should I is that an owl sound? I can't tell.
That was not even remotely an owl sound. But we are not alone today. In fact, we have with us a returning very special guest, writer of Harley Quinn Reckoning and Harley Quinn Ravenous, Rachael Allen.
Hi, I am so excited to be back with y'all.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you are too. It was so fun last year, and this year we're talking about something totally different. No, we're not. It's still Harley.
Just a little different.
But I would say very different tonally.
Yes.
Oh.
I was gonna say it's a little sexier. I'm like, no diss to the book, but I'm like, this is like adult romance.
This one's for grown-ups.
Yeah.
Yes. So what are we going to talk about today, TJ?
Well, as you said, more Harley Quinn. We're going to be talking about Harleen by, oh my goodness, I looked up this guy's name like 2 weeks ago. It's Stephen. Anyone else have? I literally did research for this.
I'm so proud of you. And then you forgot it all.
And then I forgot.
If it makes you feel any better, I did the same.
Yeah.
Okay,
right?
Good.
It's
anyway.
Oh wow. Now DC Infinite will not load for me.
I know. I had to look up a pronunciation. I was so
all right.
Proud of myself.
It is by Stjepan Sejic.
Sejic? That sounds right. If not, that's very close. Yeah,
actually,
so Stephen Sejic.
It's not Steven. Hold on. Maybe Stjepan Sejic. I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll do our best. But this was a book we talked about briefly last time we spoke, Rachel.
Yeah.
Tell us why you love it, because I know why I love it, but I'm just curious.
It's beautiful, first of all.
Yeah.
It has like some of the coolest art, and I love how like the art and the story combine. And then I think that both Harley and the Joker are really interesting in it character wise.
Yeah.
So that's really cool too. How about y'all?
It's like one of my favorite graphic novels I think I've ever read.
You've talked about this one since we started the show, I believe.
Yes, I've wanted to do it for so long. So the fact that you also loved it, it just felt like a great opportunity. Because usually we reach out to people and are like, hey, what book do you love? Sure, we'll do that one. But in this case, we were like, hey, we like you and we like Harleen. Let's do this.
So I hadn't read Harleen and I was putting it off because TJ tried to sell it to me as it's a love story between Harley and the Joker. And I was like, well, I don't want that. But we'll see if my opinion changed once I read it. But first, before we get to that, we have a game.
Ooh.
So just so you know, Rachel, TJ notoriously loses these, and not at all because I totally rig them against him.
No way. You would never.
I would never. But this one, there's really no losers in this game because we are about to play Fuck, Marry, Kill in honor of this this comic, which likes to do all of the above. And we're gonna start out pretty strong and pretty on topic. Fuck, Marry, Kill, Joker from this book, Joker from the Dark Knight movie or Joker from the animated series? Let's go.
Oh, okay. It's this book, the Dark Knight movies, and Joker the animated series.
Yes.
Okay, fuck the Joker in this book, obviously. And then
Totally.
then I have to marry one of those other guys. I guess I would marry the animated series Joker because he's less scary than the Dark Knight Joker, who is the scariest.
True.
I agree. He would definitely kill me.
Yeah.
Whereas animated series Joker, yeah, he might. Him and Harley were together a while, so I feel like maybe I'd make it out of that relationship.
You'd be emotionally abused, but you'd be alive.
Yeah. So no, I totally agree.
Yeah. We all agree we're fucking this one, right? Because
right?
Holy shit.
He's kind of like Jared Leto's Joker, but if he was actually hot.
TJ, you've got to stop trying to convince me Jared Leto is hot. I'm never gonna believe you.
I mean,
he's not.
He was hot in My So-Called Life. He wasn't really hot as the Joker.
Underneath all the Joker stuff, and then take away his personal baggage of his actual Jared Leto self.
Cult, his actual cult that he has.
Then you get this graphic novel version of Joker.
No, this guy is 1,000% more handsome than Jared Leto. Don't even try.
No, I agree. This one has a good vibe.
This is like
if Harry Styles was the Joker.
Yes!
Oh my goodness.
I was literally gonna say this is like a pop idol Joker. You're right. This is Harry Styles' Joker.
This is like big titty Joker. I love that.
Big titty Joker.
It's true. At one point, I was reading panel to panel, and the next panel there's just Joker titties right in my face.
She's very interested in his chest. So we're not there yet. So all right. So fuck, marry, kill. This time we are doing different versions of Batman. Fuck, marry, kill. Val Kilmer Batman, George Clooney Batman, or Robert Pattinson Batman.
This one's harder. TJ, you can go first.
I'll go first. Okay. Marry Clooney. He has like a big dad energy. I feel like he would take care of me.
Daddy energy?
No, you know what? I'm gonna kill him.
Changing
my tune. I'm not in a daddy mood. We're gonna kill him because I forgot about our pads for a second. I'm gonna bang our pads. I feel like he'd be a really fun time, but he's like not there emotionally. But you know what though? Okay, I keep talking myself out of these.
I was going to say
he doesn't know what he's doing. Like with Catwoman in that movie, we talked so much about like he doesn't even know what to do with her. So like I don't know if he'd know what to do with me. I guess I could teach him. That's part of the appeal. So I'm gonna stick with banging him, and then obviously you have to marry Kilmer because he's just really cute. Yeah, and he'd take care of me. He seems like he's okay.
I think I would do the same because like George, it's like I want George Clooney for both the marrying and the fucking, and then I could get rid of the other two.
Incredible.
No, I get that.
Val Kilmer seems nice, but sometimes, especially in that movie, he makes like a smug face a lot. And if I was married to him, I'd have to see that every day.
Right.
I'd be like, I made you pancakes. And
you could always just make him wear the cowl at home.
He's into that in that movie.
He is into that in that movie. You know, he almost bangs Chase Meridian that way, right? Just make him wear the cowl. That'd be like, I cannot look at your face. Put the cowl on.
Okay, so maybe he's the freakiest.
He is definitely the freakiest. Let's be honest. Arpad's Batman is a virgin, like straight up, has never had sex.
So like, out of those three, I think Kilmer am I saying it right? Is it Kilmer? Val Kilmer?
Kilmer.
Yeah. Okay. He has like the biggest freaky energy. So out of those three, he fucks. Like Clooney
100%.
It just has the daddy energy.
He does.
He gives good hugs, I bet.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And with the bat nipples just erect.
Yeah, you feel
actually those are non-comfortable hugs.
So it's like the rubber just squeaks.
Our Pats is so hot though, and I love the angsty thing. So like,
I feel like okay, I know I'm like answering my own question now. I feel like I'd have to marry him because then you could teach him. You don't want to bang him because the first time's gonna be bad. You gotta like train him up. You know what I mean?
An ongoing session.
You need repeated sessions to get to a successful area.
And he writes you emo poetry after.
Sure
so that could be nice.
It's true.
Yeah, so I feel like we've established we could go any way with these
Yeah,
three.
it kind of works. It kind of works. Okay. Fuck, Marry, Kill Harley edition, animated series, this one, or the one from the Harley TV show. I know it's harder, right? In that they're all
Marry
wonderful.
this one.
Okay.
This one seems like up to a point I felt like she had a good head on her.
I think this is explicitly about that not going well.
Right? I like up to a point.
So you're marrying
Halfway
her
through.
pre-murder spree? Okay.
She feels the most real to me. Like I don't know. So I would marry her. I'd marry Harleen and then marry animated series and kill the one from her own
Wait,
show.
you married two of them.
Did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I would bang this one. I'm changing my answer again.
Okay.
I would bang Harleen, marry animated series Harley, and kill the one from her show. Because she's a little too wild for me, I think.
Okay. I think this one is harder too, but not as hard as Batman. That was
that was a devil's choice there.
The Batman really threw us off.
I think am I answering the same as TJ again? I think I would marry Harleen because she does seem she has like the sweetest underlying energy.
Yeah.
And then
I changed my answer, so it's different.
Yeah, that's
right.
Then new Harley cartoon, which I guess leaves killing old Harley cartoon.
All right.
Stjepan, old Harley is like huggable, so I'm like, I'd marry her. Like she'd take care of me.
That's true. She's actually really nice.
Yeah,
she's really nice.
And then Harleen, like she's very sexy, so like I feel like you gotta bang her.
But you're forgetting that in the Harley show, she like learns to be a great girlfriend. So like she gets there.
That's true.
True.
But she is wild. Like I don't know. Watching that relationship play out, I'm like,
straight up, she is. You're not wrong.
I don't know if I
can through a lot of TVs.
Yeah.
You just don't have the energy for that. That's a fact.
I just don't know.
It's a lot of work. She is a lot of work. Honestly, any version of Harley is probably a lot of work. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All
right. Final answers.
All right. All right. So final round then. Poison Ivy. This delightful echo terrorist in this book. The one in the TV show or the one from the Schumacher movies.
I feel like this is like one of the hottest Poison Ivies I've ever seen in the Harleen book.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick Bang for her. And then I really like the Ivy in the new cartoon show. Like she likes to like cuddle on the couch and make chili and stuff. Like I would be married to her. She seems nice. And she like already has like a botany lab, and so that would be cool.
Yeah, you could do science together.
So I guess that leaves killing the other one. Yeah.
From the Schumacher. That's a good answer. I totally forget what you answered already, so tell me if I say the same exact thing.
You all have been very aligned. So
and like I was busy thinking about it. I'm like, I think I would marry the one from Harley's show.
Yeah.
Because she just has a very good energy. Like, I think this is bad, but I'm like, I guess I'm the Harley in that relationship. So
yeah, you can't have someone be work. You have to be the work.
Yeah. I don't know how true that is. Well, that's how I'm feeling right now in this moment.
I don't think it's true, but Nick is not here, so we won't ask.
So I'd marry her. I feel like we would get along. And then Uma Thurman is like an icon, a gay icon. So I feel like I can't kill her.
You gotta bang her.
But I wouldn't want to marry her either. So I would want to like bang her. I would fuck her. And then I would have to kill the one from the Harleen graphic novel. And I know she's like the hottest one. Yeah. But I feel like I know the least about her out of the three of them.
That's fair.
And shockingly, I'm going off of their personalities and not how sexy they are.
It's shocking. Well, that was beautiful. I feel like we've accomplished something here today.
That was fun.
If nothing else, we've realized that the two of you have the exact same taste.
Yes.
That's helpful. And that it would hurt to hug a Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
no,
bat
too
nipples.
squeaky.
Rachel, you have like the sweetest voice, and just hearing you be like, "I'd kill them." So I'm like, oh,
What if I killed both of them?
it's so eerie.
So, are we ready to jump into Harleen?
Let's
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
Where do we even start?
Oh my god. This was
We
not what I
already-
thought it was. I'm gonna start with that.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like, was this a reread for you, Rachel?
I thought it was going to be, but like more, I hadn't read the whole thing because
Okay.
whenever I
Okay.
read it, I think I'd only read 1 and 2 and not 3. So that was exciting.
Oh,
Well, that is
okay.
cool.
So you got a little brand new here. So I'll let you guys go first then, because this was like a reread for me, and I was kind of not dreading rereading it, but I was like, oh, I've already read it. And then once I started, I like flew through it.
Yeah.
I didn't even take my notes until I finished the whole thing because I just had to keep reading. So yeah, like, what did you guys think?
Go ahead, Rachel.
I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
how like the third one ended things.
Yeah.
I don't know how spoilery y'all get on
all
here.
the way. We go
All
all
the
Go
way
as far
spoilery.
as you want.
Okay. Yeah, I loved that last image of her like as Harley, and then like Harleen is trapped behind the mirrors, and like the mirrors were like a theme through the whole
Yeah.
thing. I was like, that's perfect, and I'm real happy about that.
Yeah. I feel similarly because again, I think TJ, you were trying to explain to me what this was, and I was just not like getting it. I hate the Joker generally, like
Mhm.
most iterations. I hate him so much. So the fact that I was this invested in a love story between two people that I don't ever want to be together, I was like, how did this happen? Like, it's horrible, but it's hot.
Did you hate that he
Mhm.
was hot?
I got so mad. I took a screenshot and I was just like, I'm gonna send this to TJ and be like, how dare you show me a hot Joker? That is so hot. That is so hot.
So hot. No, I probably
mad
pitched it
about
to you very badly.
It's not
But,
your
like-
fault. I just hate the Joker. It's very hard to pitch anything to me with the Joker in it.
Like, reading it this time, I was like, you know what? It's kind of like a romance novel. And then he literally says in the back of the book, it was a romance novel. I'm like, oh, I got what you were putting down. I got it.
Yeah. It's like a twisted romance novel, right? Like it has every trope of a romance novel, except the whole time there's this sense of dread because everything's wrong, which is delightful. It's like a horror romance, and I loved it.
Yeah, it really is like a horror romance. That's like a good way to describe it.
Yeah, like it very gothic horror vibes. Like I like
Yeah.
this. This is the most interesting Arkham story I think we've ever read. Arkham's hard, right? Like I feel like a lot of the stories in Arkham, Looking at You, Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison, are just like overwrought and too much, and just like wallowing in suffering in a way that's so unpleasant to read, and also kind of stigmatizing of mental illness, whereas this one was not that at all. It was very real and very grounded. I mean, I have some comments on some of the psychology coming up, but as far as Arkham stories goes, this is one of the better ones.
I just
Yeah,
thought I
I
was
would
so
agree. Oh,
so
go ahead.
invested in like Harley as a character that like yes, the love story was, I hate to say it was sexy, but it was kind of sexy
It
at
was
times.
uncomfortably sexy.
And like a sense of impending doom where I'm like, don't do it. But like the whole time I'm like, oh, I see where you're coming from. And like just the whole, one of my favorite parts was how they fleshed out her affair with the teacher and how that kind of
too.
informs how she falls for the Joker.
Me
It just
too.
made it make so much sense. And I think in Mad Love, it was such like a flimsy, oh, she was seductive in college and used her looks to, and here they really fleshed it out and made it a
Yeah.
part of the narrative.
I-
Do we just want to talk about the art for a minute? Because
yeah,
like,
please.
wow,
I know. It
all I
is
have to say.
stunning. It is like, I think we've talked about before that one of the things I love about DC Comics when they're great is the iconography. Like there's a lot of these poses and things that like they just get imprinted in your mind in very specific ways, like they're stained glass windows almost. And this one is like every panel is
Yeah.
iconic.
It's unbelievable. Like there's so many I can think of. Like the one where like it's close to the beginning where she's having the nightmare and it shows Batman as like the big scary nightmare. Batman is
Yes.
just that's in my head forever.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree.
His like glowing eyes. It kept reminding me of the Telltale video game Batman for some
Yes.
reason. I just thought the look was really good. Like these all kind of felt like if I had to imagine perfect versions of every
Yes,
character, this kind of
Yeah.
incorporated everything I loved about them.
I agree.
And I don't know, I feel like that's such a big thing to say, but I
No,
feel
but
like I mean it.
I mean, I agree. I really
Okay.
do agree. And I even like the characters we see for a single panel where she's
Mhm.
interviewing them, it gets so to the essence of each one of those characters in that like snapshot, which was just
Mm,
incredible. I loved it. Ugh. I one of the like iconic moments that I think of is like the first time she sees Joker and he's in a fight with Batman, and there's a floodlight that like hits them and sends their shadow up on the smoke that Batman cast out, and so they look like giants,
Mhm.
shadows when she's looking at them, and she's standing there looking so small, and it's just amazing,
Yeah, that part
yeah.
was beautiful.
right?
I
Oh,
think I mean the whole book is excellent. When I think about like my favorite scene in the
hmm
book, I go to that rooftop scene between
hmm
Harley and Batman where
yeah,
she's wanting him to tell her that she is on the right path, that like he thinks they can be saved, these people in Arkham, or redeemed. And like
yeah,
he honestly is like, I don't know. I would like to
yeah,
think they can, but part of me is kind of unsure. But then it's like the underlying subtext of like
right,
him funding her research and she doesn't
yes,
know. Like, I mean, a
yeah.
whole other thing. That was a brilliant way to tie him
I
into the
agree.
Harley origin.
I
But that
really like
scene,
that too,
oh,
right? Because like it's that tension between like obviously he's funding it, so he believes that's possible, and like Lucius has been searching for someone to fund to do this research. So
the
it
hottest Lucius we've ever
so
seen.
hot. Yeah, yeah, that's the Lucius that turned out all those hot kids. That one right there. um yeah, but then to have him admit that even though he's doing this and putting all this behind it, he's still not sure it's ever going to happen, and it's powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I would love to hear, obviously, you two talk about like the psychology in the book, but also the part that really hit me, and having not, not experiencing this as a woman, like just all the men mispronouncing her names, you know, all that like really hit me. So
Yeah,
like, I don't know, how did that land for you two? Like,
I don't get my name mispronounced, but because Allen's not hard to say, but I do get called Miss Allen a lot.
yeah.
I think there's at least a couple times in there when she gets called Miss Quinzel.
mm,
Yeah, I really, it's interesting to talk about this in relationship to the things that you wrote, because I think they have a very similar through line, Rachel, where that especially that first book being about like the sexual harassment of women in STEM, then this one's about that. I mean, the way her backstory with the professor, and though even though he's the one in position of power, so he's the one taking advantage, she's the one suffering for it, right? And we're seeing it through her perspective, so the whole story is very unreliable narrator, so she blames herself. She's like, I seduced him. You're like, you were 18, you did not seduce anybody, that's your professor, he's an adult. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And
Like,
nobody's talking about him after.
no, but everyone is forever. I mean, they call her Harley because every old man rides her. I mean,
uh,
God, that part made me sick.
Yeah.
But that's so real, right? Like the
Mhm.
fact that that haunts her, and then the disrespect and discrimination is what leads her every step of the way down this path. Absolutely. Like trying to prove the men wrong, trying to do it on her own because no one believed in her. I mean, even in this story, right? Batman's not a hero in this story. Even he doesn't really believe in the work she's doing, even though he's funding it. And so every single man is letting her down, and she makes all of these compromises to try to prove him wrong, ending up where she ends up.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. And it's weird to think of her that way as like, if you put them side by side, like
Mhm.
Harley has a purer soul than Batman, at least to start with. Um,
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to think.
It is, right? Because I mean, Batman is defined by constantly having to fight against this cynicism, kind of. That's part of his deal. I don't think we talk about that very much because we see him as like this upright, like paladin of good, right? But he isn't. He's a kid that watched his parents die, and he's like thinks that Gotham is kind of fucked. But you know, the best stories about Batman are the ones where he comes back around to believing in hope and everything, but it's always a battle for him. Whereas Harley, like, that was her impetus, as it is like for people who are good at psychology or therapists, right? You believe in people's capability to change. So you're right. In a way, the start of the story, she is kind of more of a good guy than he is.
I mentioned that rooftop scene and just how much I loved it. And I wrote some notes, and I was reading my thought process of like, oh, like he doesn't really believe, but he wants to, but he must because he's funding her research. So deep down, he must believe. And I was like, wait a minute. No, he just has enough money to throw at literally anything.
Yeah, he's probably simultaneously funding like a couple of different like rehabilitation centers for bats, and like, you know, this man who has money, he owns a baseball team or something at this point.
But I could also see it as like, I don't know, like funding her research is like, that's what he wishes and hopes Gotham could be like, but he doesn't actually believe there's a chance in hell of it happening. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Or even might
sad.
like, if we want to get real into bat psychology, it might even be
Please.
like legit guilt, right? Because
Oh,
Batman's whole deal is that he takes these people, he beats the shit out of them, and he sticks them in an asylum where he hopes they'll stay for the rest of their lives. So there might just be this genuine, because he's smart, like he has to know he's not helping them, but he can't kill them either. So that tension remains there, that he doesn't want them gone completely, but he's not doing anything to improve their lives. So maybe this is a little bit like, if I put money toward this, like it, you know, almost like paying money as penance to the church. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of, it can make me feel a little better about, I'm being very cynical about Batman. I do love Batman, but he's a little bit of a bitter little petty guy.
I've been more cynical about Batman lately too. I'm here for it.
Right? Like, I love him. I just think he doesn't even know what he's doing most of the time.
So we read Dark Victory recently, and we really focused on like there was a very small plot in there that didn't really follow through all the way in a modern sense of like Batman going too far, the police kind of bending to his will. Should they be doing this? You know, and I feel like there was one part in this book that kind of was speaking to that conversation where like Batman's coming to interrogate the Joker, and Harley is like, that is not allowed. And I feel like everything she's saying is like correct, and I'm on her side, but she's coming from a place that's unprofessional because she's only being driven because of that relationship with him, you know? So like, it was such a weird reading that scene and being like, oh, she's totally right, but she's coming from the wrong place. Like, that was kind of, it was just sad. Like, this book makes me sad.
Well, if you think about her in the context of that first relationship with the professor, like, that's somebody that's been groomed, right? Like, I mean, that's grooming. And then what is Joker doing but grooming her more? So it's hard to see her as anything but a victim at that point. Obviously, like, the best Harley stories are the ones where she comes back from that and owns herself, but she is absolutely a victim in this. And so it is heartbreaking to watch her kind of fall like this.
Yeah. And there, I know you don't have the hope of her not falling because we know the story, but like, it's the fact that this story made me root for her so hard that knowing it was coming was even more devastating than like Mad Love, I think.
I agree. There's a scene between her and Harvey that I really love, where they're talking and she walks away from the conversation and she's like, look at us being so sanctimonious. 6 months later, we'd both be monsters. And that one, I was like a knife right in the heart.
Let's talk about Harvey because I hate him.
He sucks in this one. I'm really surprised. So, Rachel, for context, TJ is usually a Harvey fucker. So
mentioned Dark Victory. That's a big Harvey fucker book. This one, I kind of hate him. He sucks
himself. Yeah.
In my notes I have, he's not sexist, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's hard to like in this one.
He sucks.
Yeah.
Pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that conversation with her, I was like, good Lord, man. He's like, you can't find a way to heal them because then I could never put them in jail. My dude, the point.
Yeah.
God.
I feel like this Two-Face, he was very Dark Knight looking from the movie,
Oh yeah.
but like I was laughing while reading. I was like, why didn't Nolan just like do the acid in the face instead of having him burn on just one side of like that was so much more complicated to make
so
sense.
Right. You're so
I don't
right.
know. It's just
True.
silly.
That was like Bond villain levels of
yes.
Oh,
it was like
God.
a stretch, you know. I was like, all right, well, if we make him fall in half of the gasoline, it's like, why are you doing this? Anyway,
So much effort.
just something silly, yeah. I don't know. What's our next like scene that comes to mind?
On Harvey, I
Yes.
sometimes I was like, well, I was like questioning like what he was there for. But then like at the end it did come together for me when she like wrote their names on the wall and then like wiped it off. I didn't see it coming at all that she was gonna wipe it and make it say haha. So I was like, well
That's
played.
cute. That's
Cute.
Good job. Yeah, I guess I kind of like it as a theme in this story of like what makes people go bad, because that's what she is studying, and then literally what she becomes, but also what Harvey, I mean, he was an asshole to start with, but theoretically he goes bad, right? He goes worse.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I mean, I guess this is the point where we get into the science, right? Like her theory is she sure is trying something. Okay, so I guess to break it down for the listeners, her theory is that given enough fear or anger, you will wear down your ability to feel empathy, which she developed based on interviewing soldiers who had been dishonorably discharged. So I don't know how not to get too in the weeds on this. It makes actually a lot of sense if we're talking about soldiers who have committed war crimes, because that is sort of what happened. There's actual science there that is kind of what happens. The way that especially specialized soldiers are trained breaks down your ability to feel empathy for the enemy. It's very intentionally done so that you can kill someone. Like there's a whole lot to it. This is also why PTSD happens so much in the military. It's because you break down essential parts of somebody when you're training them and then send them out and then bring them back into society with no ability to adjust again. All very true. The problem is it just doesn't actually hold up for like serial killers, which is what she's trying to do. There's really no evidence that that's what happens, or there's not clear evidence. I guess we've never really figured out totally what's going on with serial killers, but some of them are just, they're like that so early in their lives that it's hard for this theory to make any sense. But on top of that, a lot of the people she's interviewing are not antisocial personality disorder cases, which really fucked me. Rachel's nodding. I was sitting there reading it and I was like, wait a second. Okay, Zaz, yes. Serial killer, absolutely. Poison Ivy doesn't have a lack of empathy, which is actually what she says too in that scene. She's like, I just don't like people. Which, fair, not the same thing. She has a great deal of empathy for the earth, which is not at all a sociopathic personality at all.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I also like, it was stressful to me that she's like, I just need to find the one case to prove my point. And I was like, we never do an N of one.
Yeah, I know. I was like, babe, you should be doing all of the cases that you have. What do you mean? And also not just these ones. I love that she just preemptively was like, I want to interview these people. And I'm like, no, but you have a whole place of criminals. You could interview all of them. Then it would be a good data set. You're already pre-selecting famous ones. As far as I can tell, that was the thought process. Batman's villains. Have you fought a bat? Be in my study.
The panel of her interviewing Mr. Freeze and she's just in the giant coat. I love
so
that.
Funny.
Like
yeah, speaking of people who are definitely not antisocial personality disorder, Mr. Freeze, his whole deal is that the healthcare system failed him and he loves his wife. No, sir, not a sociopath.
Since we mentioned Poison Ivy, the scene she's like definitely down to bang, right?
Oh,
Or she,
yeah.
like that scene. There's that one scene where like she's like, "Oh, you're like kind of blushing right now." Like I was like, "Oh, she's like down." Like
Yes.
I love that.
I loved her, like every scene she's in. She killed me. Her interview where she's like, "Oh, I don't have empathy. You say as you write on the desecrated corpse of trees."
I loved that.
She's so extra.
Yeah, I wrote like a list of my favorite scenes, and then it was like every scene with Ivy is like on
Yeah.
the list.
Her breakout
Precious.
and that
Oh my God.
panel, not pan, that whole page of her like
Yes.
leaf outfit. That is
Mhm.
the best she's ever looked.
She is killing it nonstop in this, and literally killing it at times.
I'm
Okay,
regretting
so can I
killing
ask,
her earlier.
do y'all think that like in the author's head that like there's a Harley and Ivy arc?
I think
'Cause
so.
it feels like there is to me. And then I'm
So-
like, but do I just see what I want to see?
Wait, does
I have an
TJ
answer to
know?
this.
Is
Some
there-
listeners might know already. So I have good news and I have bad news.
I'm concerned. I'm scared.
So the author, we're gonna call him Stjepan. Stjepan, that's your name now.
I think it is Stefan.
Okay, good. Hopefully. If not, apologize. He also wanted to do a book called Isley, and it was going to be like her origin, in the same universe.
Yes.
And then so there's like art and like covers that he's made. They exist. They're on the internet. Like he's been talking about it. But I think he was having health issues or something, so he hasn't
Oh.
pursued it yet. But
Do they
they've
get
done
together?
well, they've done 2 short stories where he wrote and drew them. So it's a sequels to this. And one of them is Poison Ivy rescuing Harley from Arkham. And then you find out her favorite word is like red. And or there's like a therapy session where they're like, what does red mean to you? And by the end, you realize it's Ivy. Like she thinks of Ivy. And then the newest one that came out like this year is like, it's very sexy. It's the BDSM story I showed you in the
Oh
comic
my
shop.
God,
the
I
other
forgot
day.
about this.
Yes, you literally get Ivy and Harley doing BDSM, and they acknowledge that it's like their kink, and it's so good. So
Well,
please
I'm
check those
delighted.
out.
I'm delighted to know we were right, because I was thinking of
Yes.
that as well.
So like I heard the goal was for him to do an Ivy book and then do a third one where they're like together. But I don't know how
Aw,
true that is. But I know he definitely wanted to do an Ivy book, and I hope he does it one day.
that would be amazing.
too.
Yeah.
I would
So
definitely
anyway, I remembered all that, just not how to pronounce his name. Rip. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We for context listeners, we had meant to do this episode like 2 weeks ago and forgot to go back and do any of the research. I didn't either. So it's
That
fine.
is my excuse.
Can we, okay, speaking of, I can't believe I'm about to say this sentence. It hurts me physically. Speaking of hotness, should we just unpack Joker?
Oh my God, please.
First of all, did anyone else notice that his armpit hair is also green?
Yes. Oh, you know that's in my notes.
That's
I
it. You're not-
screenshotted it because I
That's right.
screamed.
Rachel mentioned Harry Styles earlier, and I was like, oh, is his armpit hair also green? But
I
it's
can
kind of
see it.
hot. It's
It's-
kind of hot.
It's
sorry.
stupid how hot it is. It really is. I get it.
He's
Listeners,
like-
I feel like if you haven't read this, you're sitting there going like, how hot could he be? The hottest. He could
It's
be the
like-
hottest.
Yes.
Sometimes there's like a white boy on the internet, and people are like, I see this man in my gas station every day, but that doesn't mean he's not hot. So like I feel like he's that kind of hot, where he's like kind of grungy and gross and kind of scary, but also you're like, I don't know, there's
So
something
right.
about him.
I would like to know at what gas station you have seen those abs.
I know. I've
Right?
never. I have
Yeah,
never.
they keep their shirts on,
At
sadly.
the oh, so you don't know.
Yeah, I can't see the green armpit hair. I just imagine that they have it.
There's a Venn diagram that's going around at trying to explain the female gaze, and it's like Princess Boy. It's like K-pop stars and Harry Styles and whatever, and the other side of the Venn diagram is line cook boys.
Mm,
He is absolutely a line cooked boy.
like from the bear.
Like the bear, that's what it is. It's like the bear, Pete Davidson, like that kind of like, why is he hot? But I'm sitting here like,
yeah.
but he is though. But he's a grimy hot man.
I mean, part of it is just he's shirtless like the entire time, and his body's really great.
It's true. Even when he isn't though, like God. Oh
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Like partially we're like kind of into it. And like, so like, do you think he knew about the affair with the teacher?
He seemed to know anything about her. Like,
because he got that file, remember? But I'm guessing that was just about her research though, because he knew what words to say
you're right.
to make her interested in his case and think he was like
hurt.
that one. But part of me was like, I don't know, maybe he knew, and maybe if he didn't even read it, I don't know. I just had this sense that he could like tell that she was. I don't know. I remember.
Look, sometimes you can smell the daddy issues. I don't know what's.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember hearing somewhere. I don't know how true this is. One of you could probably tell me. Like, abusers can like sense when someone has like gone through this, and like so they're more susceptible to it.
That is true. Yeah, unfortunately, that research shows like kind of. The idea is that people who have been abused are vulnerable to abuse from others, and it's hard to know what it is they pick up on, but abusers can kind of sense where somebody. That's what I was talking about earlier when I said that she had been groomed, which set her up to, be victimized again by him.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if he didn't know, he knew.
He knew. Yeah, he knew.
Yeah. He gives off the vibe he knew.
You know, it's true. And it's a really creepy and gross place for me to then be like, do we talk about the sex scene now?
Okay, yes, let's talk about the sex, and then I have a question.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say this is officially like a landmark moment on Gotham Outsiders, is we've never had a sex scene in any of these books.
Yeah, not like on panel.
It doesn't come up much in Batman books because again, Batman is asexual.
He's on the spectrum.
He sure is. He sure is not having a lot of sex.
In my notes, I have like, I don't know, it was kind of hot.
It was.
Like, I'm sorry.
It's hot in that way that's like, oh God, this is so wrong. But then you're like flipping the
Yeah,
well, and you just know
you're like, why am I turned on by someone taking off a straight jacket? Like that is the definition of like
dark. Like this is like the genre of dark romance, right? Like, I mean, I feel like we could go into why is it that taboo things are so sexy, but they are like it's a whole genre that we read, right? Or like maybe
it's
we
like
don't
the
read
fact that she's
do.
being so unprofessional too is that I don't know the factor of like, oh, they could get caught. She's being bad. It's like she's being a bad girl.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Just makes it sexier.
It's so wrong, and your brain is like, don't. And at the same time, you're like, but if you are,
but I want to watch.
But since you're already doing it, I'm gonna watch.
I was cracking myself up because he has all those scars on his back.
Yeah.
And I guess we're supposed to assume it's like from fighting Batman or him being abused, fights, whatever. But I was like, what if it's just from him fucking bitches constantly?
They're all fingernails.
Yeah, because I love that panel of her doing it to him. But yeah, I was
like,
like,
I wanted to heal your scars. I loved, talking metaphor, right? Like I loved the metaphor of like, I wanted to heal your scars, but now I'm adding them, because that is both literally what she's doing and figuratively what she's doing, right? Like a therapist breaking boundaries. I mean, obviously, I feel like it should be without saying having sex with the client, but even before that, breaking boundaries is harming your client. So she is literally and figuratively adding scars, and I'm like, oh.
And just like that with like his white back and then like the red blood under her nails, it's just like
good.
That
a whole lot
contrast
going on at once.
It shouldn't be as sexy as it is, but
so I'm aware that he was manipulating her, abusing her.
Yes.
He's horrible.
Yes.
My question.
Yeah.
Do you think a part of him actually had feelings for her though? I would not ask that with like any other version of the Joker, but I don't know.
Okay, Rachel, I have an answer, but I want to hear yours first.
I think my answer would be he has like feelings for her, but they're like deeply messed up feelings, because that's the only kind of feelings he can have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like his feelings for her are Joker gets off on control and he can control her. So if we're talking about does he feel love for her? Absolutely not. I don't think he is capable of it.
Right.
But is there pleasure derived from this experience? Yes, I think there is.
Yeah. The only part that made me reconsider to ask that question was it might even be that scene or the scene where they hug, but like his heart's beating really, really fast and she can feel it. And I'm like, oh, that's like a physical response.
Yeah,
Like,
but
so
again, I
like,
think he gets off on
yeah,
controlling people, right? So if
true.
his heart is racing in that moment, my thought is he's like loving that it's working. He's getting
Mhm.
her to break her boundaries and cross her lines. Like I'm sure he was
Yeah.
probably fully erect as well. Like let's be honest.
Oh, the fact he had to clarify it still worked. I love that. Uh,
Yeah. God,
can we talk
I love
about
it.
Dr. Matthews? Like the side characters, like Dr.
Yeah.
Matthews and Bronson, was that his name?
Mhm.
I feel like they had really good moments that like established them as like real people.
I know. I
Like,
felt genuine. Like he is one of the few people in the whole Bronson is one of the few people in the whole comic that is nice to her. And the fact that she
yeah,
kills him at the end is so heartbreaking.
yeah. Like like he could be a I don't know, he was being a little dickish here and there. But when he's like trying to stop her from going down the same dark path that he went down, I was like, that's really sweet. And he's like supporting her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
And
was sad even when like they were like, "Oh, like come have coffee and donuts with us or whatever it was they were having," and she's like, "I can't," and I'm like, oh, "You're
yeah.
gone, baby girl."
I
Oh,
know. It is really it's sad. I just think like as far as like I know this is a dark episode of our show, I guess. But that mean the content, how could it not be? But if we think about like why someone is vulnerable to abuse, right? Like somebody who's isolated, and she is because of the first abuse she suffered. She's been isolated, and then she self-isolates more because she doesn't want that hurt again. And so she's extremely vulnerable to the Joker. And I feel like I should clarify because in most situations, we would never be like, the psychiatrist that's fucking their patient is the victim. But in this instant, they actually are. So, uh,
yeah. Rachel mentioned the coffee. Did you guys notice the Easter eggs?
no.
The last name, Paul Dini, is on one,
Oh,
and
that's
Yeah.
Tim is on
cute.
another. So I
That's
guess
cute.
yeah, like her creators. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, that was really
Um,
cute.
and I mentioned Dr. Matthews, just that scene of like her supporting Harley, and it was like, women supporting other women.
Yeah.
Yes, how satisfying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We also get Hugo Strange in this one.
Ugh.
Does it ever annoy you that there is literally in both Marvel and DC a Doctor Strange? Because it annoys me to no end.
Just like there's Shazam. There was two
I know.
Shazams at one point.
I
Or sorry, Captain Marvel.
Captain
That's what I
Marvels, you're
mean.
right. I desperately need to know which one came first so I could blame the other one for still making a Doctor Strange.
I like that. I would also like to know who to blame. Mhm.
Okay, yes, I'll figure it out. I have this thing about well, at least that's in different universes. It drives me absolutely bonkers, and the story does it too, that the people who write Gotham stories do not try to avoid giving everyone the same first names because there is yet another Tim in this story. I swear it's like that meme where it's the guy has the two red buttons and it's like, push this one for an original thought, push this one to name yet another character Jason or Tim.
I'm looking at like some lines that
Yes.
stood out to me. The one, it might have been the sex scene. I can't remember where he says my safe word is Batmobile.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Ah,
It's
so
really
funny.
good. It's really good. Oh my god. Yeah,
And just
the
like,
sex scene was
yeah, I have in my notes. I'm just looking through them. Like, it's so sad that he's giving her this confidence and it's
yeah.
all a lie. And then she ends up being anything but confident with him in the long
Yeah.
run.
I know. It's sad. I really liked speaking of side characters, I liked her friend Shonda. I wish we got to see more of her. She was great.
Yeah.
I loved her. Like, you know, if you have to do a puppet show to get the grant funding, you do a puppet show. This is Stab Me Elmo.
Like that
Yeah.
too.
I thought she would come back at least once to like support her later, or
Yeah.
like I'd be like, girl, you're really going through
Yeah.
something not good.
Yeah.
But
Okay. You look like hell. What's happening? Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like like I don't think they showed this, but it felt like Harley probably was like pulling away from her gradually,
I think so.
and
yeah,
but by the end, like they weren't, I would bet, talking much at all.
Yeah.
when Harley kind of seemed like she was dissing her friend, so like I don't know, like her work, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like I could see that friend not reaching out to her.
Sure.
So the fact that we've
Yeah,
already said
she
Harley
was
was like isolating herself, like
She
it
was like, "You're
tracks.
such a sellout, making life-saving depression medicine."
Yeah.
I was like, what? I'm sorry, Harley. We can't all just talk to the inmates in Arkham, okay? It's proud to be depressing to live in Gotham. We need help too.
Yeah. And like that, I guess it's almost the final scene where Alfred and Batman kind of have that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that the Batman in this book was really good, I thought.
I agree.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
scene really landed for me. And
Yeah.
you could just feel he was like he didn't even interact with her that much, but I
Mhm.
felt like she was representing that like small glimmer of hope that he has
Yeah.
at reforming these people. And then she also goes to the dark side, and he just looks
No.
so bummed out.
I guess this is my question, and I don't actually have my own answer for it at this point. How do we feel about this as mental health representation? Because I feel like it is more nuanced, but it does still end with a complete and utter lack of hope. So how do we feel about it?
That's a tough question. It is better than a lot that I have
Yeah.
seen in comics and stuff. So it's hard not to give it points for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty bleak at the end.
Right. I felt the same
Yeah.
way, and this is I have so many thoughts at the same time at the moment. I know TJ saw it, but did you watch the movie Smile?
Mm-mm.
I think you would like it. So I won't spoil it. I think you would really like it. The psychology of it's very interesting. But I felt very similarly about it as I did Harleen, where it's like, this made some excellent points, but it was in the end still a horror movie. And it still ended like a horror movie. And this did too, like a horror romance as it was.
Mhm.
And you're kind of like, okay, but you made all these excellent points. And then you were like, but genre convention, better end it tragically. And I was like,
I feel like I give it kind of a pass
yeah.
here, just because I feel like it was tied to that mad love narrative.
Yeah.
Because it was a pretty faithful adaptation.
Yes.
Even though I added a lot and like changed the vibe a little bit.
Mhm.
I feel like so they were stuck on definitely having her go down that path.
Mhm.
But as we know, like she comes back from that kind of, and
Yeah.
gets herself back. And I know it to me it feels like, oh, there's definitely going to be a sequel, because how can you
Right.
not tell that
Yes.
story in this world with this Harleen? Like, so I don't know, like I would say, again, I don't have like the expertise that you guys do on like
No, you're
science
making
and
a
mental
good point,
health.
though, right? Because at the end of the day, that's why sometimes it's problematic that there's mental health stuff in Batman comics, because the villains have to come back to being evil at the end of the day to keep being villains. So it's
Right.
complicated. And like Harley is one of the few characters that actually kind of gets to leave that behind and really has forever left it behind, but most of the characters, like even if you see progress, they have to go back to being their bad selves, because next week they're going to have to be the villain of the week. And so you're right, that it's complicated as far as storytelling goes.
And I
Still
feel like
feels wiggly woggly in my brain though. Like, I can't
no,
quite
like
make it
if
make
you were to
sense.
just give this book to someone who knew nothing about Harley Quinn, I
Yeah.
feel like it's really bleak. But her story is like, I don't want to say like almost as well known as like Bruce Wayne's,
That's
but
true.
like
I mean,
I
I
feel
think
like
so. Yeah.
everyone who knows Harley Quinn knows that she comes back from the Joker.
I
So
feel like you
like,
could, since there is no sequel, maybe you could be like, okay, read this and then go watch Birds of Prey, and you get a complete story.
yeah. And those two short stories I mentioned, they both take place after she's left the Joker and she's with Ivy.
Yeah.
So like, I do want that story though to bridge those two things.
You know,
I don't know. I guess
it's complicated. I think circling back around, because again, I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. I just feel complicatedly about it.
it's just a
But
downer.
it is a downer. But I think like the Harley story, and it's sad because I think the problem here that really what we're circling around is that we didn't get the whole story, right? We got 1/3 of what he was planning. So in that way, I kind of want to give it more leeway because I know it wasn't ever supposed to be the end of the story. But I think the Harley story is important, and I'm pretty sure we had this exact conversation when we talked about your book, Rachel, because she is a victim of violence, of abuse, who overcomes it and becomes her own person and survives and becomes better. And I think that we don't get to see that very often in comics, especially not women in comics, and not that well done as it is in Harley and in Harleen, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's why so many women love this character so much, is because you get that like hope at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Just not here.
Not in this one though.
And not yet. But I think my imagination skews happy because it like adds, it like tacks that on.
Yeah.
That's coming
Exactly.
next.
Yeah, exactly.
It almost feels like the book is incomplete, I guess is
It
what I
does.
mean.
Yeah.
Because it's the fact that it's only adapting that particular time in her life is
Yeah.
again just a downer, even though we know how it turns out. But well, is there anything else we want to say about Harleen that we haven't touched on?
I got everything that I had written down on my list.
I know, right? I'm looking through all my screenshots, and a lot of them are just hot Joker with question marks that I wrote beside it. Like, what is happening
Relatable.
here? How did this happen to me?
What would you guys? Oh, sorry, go ahead,
I was
Chris.
just gonna say this. I will say this Joker reminded me a lot of the Dark Knight movies because of like, especially his just sitting there and making up his backstory like an improv actor. Just every time they asked him, it reminded me a lot of. You want to know how I got these scars?
Oh yeah.
It's weird though, because like in those Batman movies, I remember being scared like every moment that the Joker was on the screen. I was like,
right,
he's gonna hurt someone or kill someone, or something's gonna be really bad, and I'm afraid. And so it is weird to see a Joker that's so similar to him and also so hot.
Yes. It overrides something in
strange.
your brain, right? You're like, this Joker is equally as dangerous. Like the ominous feeling is around him all the time, but my God, is he hot? So I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
It's the hot villain problem. You know, we've all been there.
Like we mentioned, like these kind of feel like idealized versions of like the characters. Like this Joker kind of to me feels like he's like a mishmash of he has that Joker from Dark Knight vibe. Sometimes
if you say Jared Leto again, I'm
telling you, okay.
Call.
He has Jared Leto's body. That's all I'm saying.
Jared Leto's
and that shirtless scene in the Suicide Squad. Come on, he was ripped. He was ripped.
Rachel,
I'm just saying.
I don't know. Sometimes I think that based on how hot Jared Leto can be, that they meant him to be like the Joker in Harleen, but he took it to such a creepy place that I was like,
right.
So
he is what they wanted Jared Leto's Joker to be.
Yes,
I kind of think so.
That. I will agree with that. But Jared Leto is unfortunately a creepy guy in his real life, and so it just comes through.
Yeah.
You want your Joker to be an actor, not an actual cult leader.
Yeah. I remember the last thing I wanted to bring up that I maybe could have mentioned earlier, but I thought you guys would find it cool that this story started out as fan fiction. That he was posting it on like his DeviantArt for his subscribers.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how DC found out about it or if he contacted them, but that's how it started.
That makes me so happy.
I love that.
Yeah.
Aww.
So how would you guys rate this story? 1 out of 5 batarangs, and feel free to break one in half.
Oh, I'm giving a full 5 batarangs. It can have all the batarangs. I'm producing new batarangs to give it additional ones. Like this one immediately shot up to one of my favorite Batman stories.
Yeah. What about you, Rachel?
It's an easy 5 for me, especially like it's definitely my favorite Harley Joker story. And yeah, like Chris, like possibly my only one that I'm really like, I like
say
this.
that's an easy bar to cross in my world, as I cannot think of another.
Yeah, I feel like this one just it has you so immersed in Harleen's perspective that like it almost doesn't feel like a Harley Joker book to me because I'm
That's
just
true.
like, no, it's just like it's called Harleen, damn it. Like this is her story. And
Yeah,
I'm just
it's not called
anyway,
Harley Joker. It's not called
right,
Charlie.
like so if you can't tell, I'm also rating it 5 out of 5
Yes.
batarangs. This is, as I said, one of my favorite graphic novels. Just the art is so good that you would be like, oh, well, there's no way the writing could like match the art and
But
be
it
also that
does.
good, but it does. So like, I
does.
feel like it's near perfect or perfect.
Yeah.
I just
it's
needed
perfect.
an epilogue where she's
It needed
back.
the other 2 books. Unfortunately, maybe we'll get them one day. Fingers crossed.
I hope so.
So yeah.
Okay, so knowing that we all love this, and I don't read as many graphic novels. So what recs do y'all have for other people who have just read
Ooh.
this and they're like, I need something that's like this?
Like just in vibe or like Harley stories that you can jump into?
I think, I don't know, I guess like ones that combine such beautiful art but also really cool
Mm.
storytelling.
I would say if you want to get more Harley that is like great art, great storytelling, the 2 I would recommend, and one of them we might be reading on the show, the Suicide Squad by Tom Taylor. Like that Harley is exquisite. Like I really like, she gets to be a leader of a team. It's very fun.
And like she might be one small part of that team, but everyone else on the team is also queer and it's
Yes.
super gay.
It's real gay and the
So-
art is real good. But also Harley Quinn Breaking Glass. Yes, Breaking Glass.
Yeah.
It's a Harley Quinn solo like young adult novel that is so good, and it involves her befriending drag queens, and what else could we want? So like that off the top of my head, those are the Harley ones that stick out to me. I'm gonna think about other ones that match the criteria of like beautiful art, beautiful story. But TJ, do you have any, you want to suggest one thinking?
In terms of Harley Quinn, so Stephanie Phillips was writing the Harley Quinn title the last few years. And it's kind of like Harley has just kind of established herself as trying to be a good person, even though she keeps messing up. And she is trying to be like Batman's sidekick, and Ivy has just left town, so she's trying to move on from Ivy, but we keep getting flashbacks. And it actually has the artist that did the Tim Drake Robin first arc, that I know his art wasn't very popular on that series, but his style is so unique and it's very like bubbly and almost like you're in a dream. And when you pair that with Harley Quinn, I think it really works. So like that Stephanie Phillips Harley Quinn run, the first 2 arcs I think are really strong. After that, I kind of fell off. But then that series also just started back up with Sweeney Boo. With
Sweetie Boo's
amazing
art is
So
everything.
good.
I do like that series a lot. There's another Harley Quinn series that is happening right now, and I'm like digging through my brain for what the title of it is. I'm like looking for it. I must have read it on the app, but I don't see it. Do you know what I'm talking about, TJ? There's like a special Harley Quinn run that's oh, here we go. Harley Quinn Screws Up the DCU is so if you want like, if you read this and you're going, okay, that was really great, but I want a lighthearted Harley, Harley Quinn Screws Up the DCU is so fun and so funny, and it's her like witty banter and her big personality and chaos gremlin energy, and it's adorable. So I love that one a lot.
That does sound fun.
It is fun. It is good.
So those were our Harley Rex.
Yes. As far as similar, like, I'm trying to think if I've ever read another like romantic horror comic or something of this vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. And even just something where I'm like, something that has the art is this good and the writing is also this good. I feel like it's so hard to find that.
This is real top tier stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I would say look at because everyone's gonna have different opinions on what they like. So like look at this is from the DC Black Label line. So which is their mature stuff, and it's kind of like Elseworld stories. So I would say look at that, like just Google DC Black Label and see what books they've put out. And a lot of times the art in those books is kind of similar to this.
Mhm.
I don't think the writing is top tier like this a lot of the time, but like,
Sometimes it is.
yeah, up for opinion. So like you might find one
Yeah.
that you really like.
Yeah,
Cool.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So that was a long answer.
No, it
No,
was
that's good. I'm excited to
was
get that many Recs at once.
genuinely I was like, I cannot think of anything else. So I hope that those work for you. I will have to ponder. But honestly, it's just like, we found the top tier with this book, and now I'm like, what could match it?
I know this might be my favorite book that we have covered up to this point. And I have a few that come close, but I feel like this one, in terms of like craftsmanship and just how much I love it.
Wayne Family Adventures is still forever going to be my favorite.
Oh yeah, but that's not a graphic novel.
You're right. It's a web comic. You're right. It's its own category. As far as like the graphic novels we've read, nothing comes close to this. I agree. Yeah.
Well, I guess Rachel,
I'll manage my expectations as they go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is cream of the crop. I will email you if I think of more, because I feel like I'm forgetting some things, but yeah, no, this is the best.
Yeah. Rachel, I wanted to ask you, like, you are a Harley Quinn expert. I think we can say you have written
as our doctor of Harley Quinn studies.
Yeah. You've written novels literally titled Harley Quinn. So like, I don't know. I don't even know what my question for you exactly is, but like, I guess putting this Harley in conversation with your Harley that you've constructed over the last few years, like, how are they different? How are they similar? How does it make you feel? Like, I know you probably have a soft spot for your
Look
own
at
Harley,
you becoming
obviously.
a therapist. You became a therapist there. How does that Harley make you feel?
Yeah, how does that Harley make you feel?
I loved this one. I don't know, it was really cool to see such like a character study with her, and to be like proved wrong a little bit, because I actually was like, yeah, get with the Joker. I mean, don't, but like do, but yeah.
But like, at least for a hot bag, please.
Yeah.
For our sake.
Yeah, so I really liked this one. I liked the little bit of Ivy breadcrumbs that were there that I like latched onto each and every one. I really enjoyed it. And it was really different from what I wrote, partly because I was not allowed to write Harley with the Joker, because it was for the teens. So they're like, don't do that.
We don't want that.
Like, don't do Harleen.
So but that was okay. Like it was exciting to do something different with it, but it was also exciting to see it this way too. So yeah.
And now, if our readers really wanted some more Harley Ivy content, is there a new book that just came out that maybe has that?
There's a for anyone that read book 1, Ivy is in like the very last like pages. And so book 2 features a lot more of Harl Ivy together, or on the way to together. And then book 3, I it's not going to be out for a year, but I just finished writing it. It's the gayest of all of them, and I like it a lot. And I don't know if y'all remember from last time, but y'all helped me solve something. And so like we decided on this podcast that like there should definitely be a Harley and Ivy at Pride scene where King Shark is in the background wearing a free shark hug shirt. So I put it in, and they let me keep it. So then I put y'all in the acknowledgements of book 3.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's like my favorite scene in the whole book. And
God.
yeah, love y'all.
I love this so
That's
much
amazing.
too. I cannot wait. That's amazing.
I know. You're like, you helped me. I'm like, what is she talking about? And then as soon as you said King Shark in the shirt, like, I had it coming back.
I'm so excited that it's in there. That's amazing. Oh my God.
That made my day.
Mine too.
Happy to help. Anytime.
Anytime you need an unhinged idea for a scene where you're very
On that note, I guess, do we have our question that we ask all of our guests?
Yes. So
It's
last time
kind of funny.
I know, right? Last time we asked you what DC hill you would die on, but this time we're gonna ask you our other question, which is funny. So we're gonna have to add a caveat to it because usually we asked our guests if you were allowed to write any story in the DCU, what would you write? But obviously, I think you did. So right, you actually did do that. But okay, other than this beautiful masterpiece of Harley that you have written, if they came to you and were like, okay, you can write any other character, any other situation you want, it's up to you and there's no rules, what you doing?
Oh gosh, I think so. I probably would have said Ivy if you had asked me a while ago, but writing Ivy as a side character in these has made me realize that like she's a lot more sarcastic than me and I'm a lot more bubbly, and she's actually really hard to write, even though I really enjoy like reading her and watching her and stuff. So I think I had the most fun with King Shark. And I think I would just do like not even a whole book, but just like little short stories of like King Shark capers, or maybe Harley and King Shark doing little capers.
The King Shark capers. Well, since we manifested that King Shark scene, I'm just gonna assume we're manifesting the King Shark capers now.
The spinoff. The spinoff novel.
And can I tell you something that I would love to read that's not out there, but I don't know that I could write it?
Sure.
Have y'all heard of House of Leaves, or have y'all read that one?
Yes,
I've heard all about it.
I would really like to read Arkham Asylum House of Leaves. Like,
oh,
I think that'd be really cool.
Like all the documents of someone who was working with the patients and figuring out what happened to Harleen slowly going mad.
Honestly,
that'd be fun to read.
That would be fun with all the like I don't even know what you call it, format breaking that does too. That would be very interesting. Yeah, somebody out there write that. Do that. I don't know if you're listening. Do that. Do that for us. And then put us in, all three of us, in the acknowledgements.
Well, Rachel, where can our listeners find you online, website wise, or social media? And then any projects you have coming out that you would like to mention? We might have done that already, but feel free.
Sure. So I'm on Instagram a little bit and TikTok. I paint books on TikTok.
Yes, you do, and it's great.
That's really fun. And then the second Harley book just came out a couple weeks ago, and the third one doesn't come out for a whole year. So
yeah. So read it slow, or read it multiple times.
Read it fast and then repeatedly read it.
Well, next time we need a Harley Quinn expert, you are going to be the first person we hit up again.
You gotta start thinking what Harley story you want to read next. That's definitely gonna happen.
Thank you. Thanks. This was really fun.
It was.
Literally anytime. Now that you've put us in your acknowledgements, anytime.
That was your free ticket on.
Very sweet of you.
No, that really is. And just kidding, you already had a free ticket on. Yes. Until next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Gotham Outsiders. You can find me, Chris, at Linktree/The Myth of Psyche, where you can find all of my social media, where I'm on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and all the various places. You can also find all of my other projects where I'm writing, and the other podcasts I host, including Thirsty on Tune, which I host with my friend Bronwyn, where we talk about independent projects like books and webtoons, and on the Talking Comics podcast, where I am also a host now. And where can they find you, TJ?
You can find me at TroyFin2 on most social media platforms like Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, a lot. You can find me talking a lot about books, gay things, gay books, and I am a librarian in my professional time and for fun sometimes. So please hit me up if you want a good book recommendation or you have one for me.
And where can our listeners find you, Mark?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am El Diablito, and also on Sunday evenings with the Broaxium crew. Show is called Shooting the Poodoo. We are on at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST.
And you can find us all on social media at Gotham Outsiders on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. So thank you for listening. And join us next time. Same bat time, same bat place.